There's no doubt about it. Working in the construction industry is a tough job. You've got the physical demands, the heavy lifting, the exposure to harsh environments, working in all types of weather, and all these repetitive motions takes a toll on your physical and mental health. You've got the economic downturns and fluctuations affecting your job security. And most of all, there's this culture in construction where there's this whole tough guy act and this stoicism where people don't talk about the effect of the workload on their lives for fear of being judged or seen as weak. That they don't have this open conversation around their mental health and how their work is affecting their personal lives. They're working these long and irregular hours. That makes them more susceptible to burnout. Today, I'm joined by Raido Kivikangur. He's an executive coach and also the chief technical officer at Rail Baltic Estonia. And he shares his story of burnout while working in infrastructure and the toll that took on his life. And now, as an executive coach, teaching people to value setting boundaries and to focus on what truly matters, how that has helped both the quality of his life and the life of his colleagues and clients. As always, if you enjoyed this episode or if you have any input, you can provide some feedback, drop something in the comments over at YouTube, on Instagram, at giveyourselfsomeleeway.com, or shoot me an email, eugene@leeway.ie. Thank you, and I really hope you enjoy today's episode with Raido Kivikangur. Raido, welcome to Give Yourself Some Leeway, and thank you again for taking the time to join the show today.
Yeah, nice to be here.
So, Raido, working in the construction industry in Estonia, burnout affected you in terms of working as a CTO, but of course, you're probably better at telling this story than I am. So, what was that like for you?
I think actually, as you know, or might guess, that the construction sector is full of hard men. They work hard and they rarely talk about their feelings, and it's the same here as well. I was one of these, and actually, as I truly liked or actually even loved what I do, then actually I had no idea that I could be the one who would experience burnout. Actually, no idea at all. And if you're asking me where did it start, then yeah, of course it's easier to connect the dots when I look backwards. And probably it started with the minor steps. I was getting ill more often than I was usually doing, and that sort of stuff. I think getting ill more frequently than I was used to having, then I think these were the steps that actually I ignored.
Yeah, one thing that you definitely pointed out there, especially around the construction sector, is that idea of the tough guys kind of not sharing their feelings as well. And I think that's where a lot of this stems from. The fact that you're supposed to have this tough persona and not share your feelings. You're meant to work hard and be hard and work through everything, overcome all obstacles and never show any weakness. Were there any other factors that you feel in the culture of the construction industry that make you more susceptible to burnout?
I think, as we all know, that project management overall is very stressful work, anyways, because you go to the office, there are the huge shine deadlines. You go to lunch, there are deadlines. There are deadlines all around you. They're all important, and between deadlines, you need to make critical decisions, what cost money and what cost even more. So I think the constant environment where everybody's in a hurry, they're nervous, of course, because there are huge amount of finances on the on the table if you make mistakes, for example, and so on. So I think yes, the deadlines and that your decision will affect the budget hugely. I think these are also the key factors that may lead to burnout.
Yes, and I can see that definitely, especially in terms of being a CTO and let's say higher up the chain of command. That's the level of responsibility. But is that same level of stress, let's say on the construction workers as well, further down the chain? Do they feel the same stress and responsibility, and do they take as much ownership as the board do in terms of trying to meet those deadlines?
I think it's different. Many of the workers do feel the same or similar pressure because they feel that they're part of the team and they want to give their contribution. On the other hand, I think there are also people who do not feel it. They just, let's say, look at the clock or it has a stopper. When it goes, I'm not getting paid. I will throw the spoon there and I will leave. And but I cannot do that because my work doesn't end when the clock hits 5 or 6 or even 7. And yeah, many of them, there is a difference because I'm responsible for it. I'm responsible for the contracts, getting the contracts, and they probably don't feel it in that sense.
Yeah, I think that's where the difference lies between leadership burnout as opposed to it's that extra responsibility where you're taking ownership for the activities of others, and sometimes things are just out of your control, but you still take that with you. And
Yes.
it's still, you can still feel that weight upon yourself, even though you feel that some things are beyond your control. You still try to take responsibility for them, and that is just the extra pressure.
Yeah, I totally agree because you do this work with your heart and your soul, and if somebody there are big teams in construction, and if somebody is not making their part, of course I feel bad. We need to do something. I need to do something, and there are many people doing this. Of course, it all comes to your shoulders, and yeah, this is an extra large burden to have. That's part of the job.
Yeah, and as you said there, especially your work doesn't stop when the stopper stops at 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m. When you were burning out, when you felt all this stress and overwhelm, did that affect your home life and your family life as well? Were you taking that extra stress home? And was it reflected on others around you outside of work?
I think the short answer is yes, and actually it's like going with the baby steps. At the beginning, you just take the laptop home, and I will just send 2 emails. I will just make one phone call, and before you realize you are making 2 hours and 3 hours of extra work in home as well, and of course the people around you will notice it because you're missing. Your mind is somewhere else than your body. The father is home, but nobody's behind the wheels. He's thinking of something else. And then, of course, the friends, no matter when they call or text me, I wasn't able to answer, or I said, I'm too busy now. And of course, yeah, it will affect the lives around you.
And is that something that took you a long time to notice? Was it something that, again, it starts small and it snowballs over time? Oh, it starts off as, oh, I'll bring my work phone home. Or I'll bring the laptop home just so I can check emails, make sure that everything is okay for tomorrow morning. Or I'll just do this, I'll just prepare this report for tomorrow. And it just piles up over time. And next thing, you're just taking everything home, and you no longer have that boundary between your work life and your home life. And it was it ever, let's say, pointed out to you? For me, it was pointed out quite a bit when things started, when the boundaries started to blur. They were like, okay, you're working a lot here. You're actually not making any split. And I was like, no, this is just what I do. This is what I do. It's part of the job. And if it needs to get done, if I don't do it, it won't be done. It needs to be done. And over time, that boundary blurs.
I think in my case it was something similar because my picture or the picture for myself is that I get things done. If you handle me something, if you handle me a huge team or a responsibility, I'm the guy you can count on, and that's me. And of course, people were telling me that isn't this too much already? I said, no, guys, or no, that's normal. We are having this time here. It's limited. It will last 2 weeks or month, but it will end. But it actually didn't because, as you said, the things and the topics, the issues, the fires, they will just come onto your table. You need to solve them, and it just comes and comes. Actually, there is no deadline if you don't stop it yourself.
Yeah, and it's there again. It's creating your identity around the work that you do. You were like, I'll get this done. That's me. Straight up, you're like, that's my identity. That's like I'm the one who gets these things done. I get it done, and that's how it is. And straight up, again, you initially convince yourself, look, it's just the first few weeks. It's we have a set deadline, 2 or 3 weeks. We'll get through this, but it always gets extended, or people start expecting now that they're like, oh, it's like Raido can do this in 2 weeks. Maybe he can do it 2 weeks again, 2 weeks again, 2 weeks again.
Mm.
If this is the workload we can expect in 2 weeks, let's see what he can do in 6 weeks, in 10 weeks, 12 weeks, and over time that starts to compile, that starts to accumulate.
Yeah, exactly. I think that was the case for me as well because the people around you they notice that he's a really high achiever. He will get things done, and of course they asked that how do you do it? How do you get the energy? I said I got it, but yeah, if you do it, if you have been doing it for a while, you're just let's say if you're driving a car and the the let's say the frequency, it's already like the explosion of the vehicle, and you cannot be in the red zone for too long. You can enter it, you can produce high results, but you cannot work too long in the red zone. It will eventually collapse.
Yeah, I think that was something as well that I encountered a lot when I started off very enthusiastic in my work. And I was always high energy, optimism, everything. And next thing people were like, how do you keep the optimism going for so long? And how do you keep that like all that high energy all the time? And looking back, I realized that that high energy phase only lasted a couple of months. And because I had developed this persona of always being high energy, I started compensating for the waning energy that I had with cans of Red Bull, cans of Monster. Caffeine was fueling me to get that extra energy that was slowly lacking and slowly dissipating over time because I no longer had that level of energy. But I had built it around my identity that I am this high energy person who gets these results. And of course, you can only push that needle for so long. After a while, I started getting desensitized to caffeine. It started taking a toll on my body. It started taking a toll on my health and my energy levels. And I was like, okay, I need to reset. I need to do something here. And again, you create as when you're seen as a high achiever and you're driven by these results, you're driven by the success, and you don't want to take your foot off the pedal. You're like, no, this is what I do. This is how I get results, and this is the energy that I bring to the team. I don't want to take my foot off the gas and hold back a little bit, and let's see what happens. I want to continuously provide consistent results, and over time, you stop caring for yourself. You stop taking care of yourself. You cannot sustain that.
Actually, yeah, it's very interesting because as I also thought that yeah, I'm a high achiever. I get physical exercise. I eat good foods most of the times, and no, this is not the formula for burnout. That's what I thought, and of course I had something similar because over time. You don't see your friends. You don't actually have the energy to even to call them because you have had so many calls and discussions during the day. And yeah, for me, actually, I realized it too late. I would say that okay, I have led it too far. It's gone well over that I can handle. Because yeah, it's as we said that it goes so little baby steps that you say, okay, that's part of me. I can handle it. I'm a man, right?
And what was the moment for you that you realized that you'd hit rock bottom with your burnout, where you realized I'm completely burnt out. I need to make a change.
I think there were many signs. They were just getting louder and louder. I just put the headphones on and ignored them. But I think what I actually remember, of course, if I was in the meetings or talking with people, I discovered that my mind is wandering. I'm not listening to them. I'm just staring out of the window, thinking somebody else. It's difficult to concentrate. I noticed the same thing when I was working with emails or any other documents on my computer. I was just not able to focus. But what actually really hit me was that I got home and my little son was actually playing something there, and he's 2 years old now, and he looked at his dad and started crying or yelling that why I'm not playing with him, and I just felt that I know I love you, son. I want to play with you, but I just don't have the physical or mental energy. And I think this was one of the key points for me that I said to myself that I can't go on like this. That no, although I love the work, it's not that important. It's far that important if I compare it with my family. So I think this moment when I was lying on the couch and my son looked at me, I think this was the low point when I realized that something has to change.
Yeah, it's kind of those rude wake up calls. You're like, okay, I didn't realize it would. This was how I was going to realize. And in hindsight, it's 2020. It's like, well, of course, that's why I felt that way. Well, of course, that's why I didn't have the energy. But it's especially when you love the work you do, it's hard to admit that the thing that you're passionate about is draining you and not giving you back the energy. I feel a lot of people, even when they burn out in working at their 9 to 5 job and they decide, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start my own business. I'm going to be my own boss and I'm going to follow my passion. And they try to start their own business. And next thing they find, instead of working 9 to 5, they're working 100 hours a week trying to get their own business up and running. And next thing they find, they're feeling all the same symptoms of burnout again. And
Mm.
they're like, what happened? Well, what went wrong? I thought this was what I loved. This is what I want to do. And I'm feeling exactly the same as I was then. They haven't broken that burnout cycle. They've continued the same habits that they used to. If anything, they're doing twice the amount of work, and they feel that how can I feel so burnt out and so like lacking in energy mentally, physically, and emotionally that I can't be there for the ones I love, even though I'm following the work that I'm passionate about.
Yeah, actually, that's a very, let's say, a sad scenario. But yeah, I also have seen people going on that road, and what I did was that mm, as I still remember the moment that I just mentioned there with my son, I said that to myself that I want to enjoy life. I want to see the colors again. I want to listen to music, and I need energy to do that. So actually, today I start the same question: how, when, and what do I need to do to get some energy? I train to get energy, not to, I don't know, look good in the beach, just to have the energy to enjoy life. And I eat the foods. I actually work the same amount that I still feel energized. I think the watching or keeping an eye on my energy level actually have changed the game for me, because I know that I need it, and I need it for work. I need it for myself, for my friends, for my family, and so on. So yeah, maybe the balance is the word that has been used far too much, but it is you need to do many things, but they need to be leveled up.
Yeah, I think it's never a 50-50 balance, but it's a balance all the same. You have to start seeing, okay, what do I need to start prioritizing more in my life? Whether that's okay, what do I need to do to prioritize my mental well-being, my physical well-being, my emotional well-being? How I need to become more aware of what triggers me, what drains me, what fulfills me, what satisfies me at the end of my workday, what satisfies me when I spend time with my friends, when I spend time with my family, when I spend time on my own. And as you said, taking care of your health as well, in terms of your nutrition, in terms of your fitness, so that you can have that extra energy, that you're not slumping during the day, that you're more confident in yourself as well. Also, not always looking for that beach body, but also just being confident in your physical ability and your strength. And definitely as a construction worker, that's something that, like, regardless of where you are, it's something that it gives you the confidence that yes, if I'm needed out in the field, or if I'm needed out in the yard, I can help. I can help if I'm confident in my strength and my ability. And I think taking that time for self awareness, self compassion as well, just not knocking yourself down, being like, oh, I'm not getting the same results. I'm not um let's say burning the midnight oil, and bringing my work home and being the high achiever every day, giving it 110% every day. You have to be like, no, but that's not possible. It's okay for intense periods, but it's not sustainable long term, and that's okay. And then making time for self-care as well, just taking care of yourself so that you can show up as your best self for you, for your work colleagues, and for your family.
Yes, and I agree. And how I thought it, because in business and in the construction sector for sure, we're always asking the question that how do we get the water out from the rock? Let's say that we want ourselves to be more efficient. We want our team to be more efficient. We're just keep looking how to squeeze the less. But actually, the what I have realized during this process is we actually need to focus on how the water will get into the stone after all, and that's actually mostly the time after and before work. So what do we do with this time? Does it feed us or actually drains us again? So yeah, that how to get the water inside of the rock. That's I think it's a good thing to focus on.
Yeah, it's like, again, replenishing your energy so that it's there when you need it in the intense moments in work. You need to have the downtime so that when it comes to the uptime, the energy levels are there. And I think an important part of that is setting boundaries. So what do you think is the value of setting those boundaries between work and the time outside of work?
I think if to talk about the practical examples, then what I actually use very much at the moment is the piece, or as you said, it's okay that I'm not working 24/7, and I actually set a clear time to myself and to my colleagues as well, that from this time to this time you can reach me, I will answer, but if the clock goes this, I'm not answering. If there is any real emergency, of course it will happen, it might happen, then just call me 2 times in a row and I know it's an emergency. I will pick it up, but I actually set that boundary that this is the work time and this is off time. No matter what, I will just cut it at that point. And actually this actually has helped me a lot, because I know that let's say 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock, I will have no work related calls, no emails. It's me time. It's my family time. It's the time when I watch soccer with my friends. My brain knows it. It knows that for 2 hours I'll be off from work. So actually, it took for a while, but the the weird thing is that the body knows, the muscles or the brain will be trained, and they know that if I do this final stretch, then I will take a break, and the break will be more quality as well.
Yes, you're giving yourself again that space for, I think they call it is a default mode,
Mm-hmm.
when you just switch off. You just don't think about work, don't think about all the stresses, and don't think about all those things that are overwhelming you, and the, let's say, the mental blocks. You just do something that just takes your mind off everything. I think one of the examples that always comes back to is playing Mario Kart.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, it's just something completely mindless, and I'm going to forget about the stresses of work, of everything that's going on around me, and just play something absolutely mindless. And that gives my mind sometimes there's something in the back of my mind, something, a question that I just can't find the answer to. Or there's a decision and I just can't figure out which way I want to lean into it. And next thing is do something as mindless as again, playing video games, or just focusing on the match, watching a football game with friends, and you're like, oh, okay, and it just clicks in the back of your mind. You just not focusing in it at all, but it's just working away in the background, doing its own thing, and not stressing about it, and just does its own thing in the background. And it's like, okay, I enjoyed time with friends and family, and my energy levels are a bit better now, and now I can actually address the task at hand. When I want to focus on it, it's like I've taken some time to take care of myself first and spend time with others. I've set that boundary that I'm not going to focus on this one thing all of the time. And then when I do want to focus on it, it's like, okay, things seem a bit clearer now because I've taken the time for myself first.
Yeah, I totally know what you're saying, because I have had similar experiences when I go out play basketball, or just take a walk on the nature, and watching the squirrels playing with the nuts or something. and actually, yeah, it's somehow the brain is still working, and it just frees up the mind, and actually, as I'm also working with the younger leaders to develop them, and to develop their self-awareness about this topic as well. Then actually what we discussed a few days ago is that even a simple thing than taking a different route to your office and back to your office, visiting the different supermarket you don't visit every day, uh, even this small little detail actually will give your brain a little bit something different, some new routes and some new thoughts. So yeah, it starts from the small changes in your life.
Yeah, it's taking yourself off autopilot. If you're an autopilot the whole time and you're not thinking through all these processes, once you're just giving your brain that opportunity to switch back on and rewire and fire new neurons or fire new pathways in the brain. and it just opens you up to more opportunities. It's like, oh, I never saw that before. I've never recognized that before. Next thing you become more aware of it in your environment. So yes, that's a very good example. Just taking a different route to work, walking a different route to work, or cycling or driving a different route to work. Just slightly, maybe just a few streets, or maybe it's something as going to a different shop, or taking an alternative route. Instead of taking the elevator, I'll take the stairs, and something as simple as that, and just alternate every now and again, just so that you're not in autopilot. So that's a great way of helping your brain to fire in new ways.
Of course, and is as we usually say, of course, the construction guys at least they're saying, no, I don't know, this is silly, or I don't want to try it. But as I know my colleagues as well, who I told that try the thing, try the different route, or try something different. Let's say that you don't open your mailbox on Tuesdays. Let's see what happens. So different small changes, but actually, as they have tested it, they have said, "Whoa, thanks. I was just trying it," and as you also described, that it will free your mind a bit. Forces it to find new ways to think, and yeah, I think this is a real game changer, and I think it's a good key to fight burnout as well, because you have some fresh breeze in your brain for once in a while.
Yeah, as you said there, it, with people in construction, they seem very set in their ways. When you said that, when you suggested something like that, and they were like, "Oh, look, this is something that it sounds ridiculous. Why would I try that? It sounds absolutely ridiculous. This is what I've done all my life. I'm not going to take a different route to work. This is the way I've been coming to work for the past 20 years. What's the difference going to be if I come to work a different way? Or I'm not going to stop driving to work and cycle to work. That's just ridiculous. How is that going to change anything? How do you help them see that, look, just try it once, try it twice, try it for a week? How do you convince them?
Yeah, it has been tricky, because as you said, that they will say, kid, I have done this job for 40 years now, and I've always done it like this. And but I think it's individual, because for example, one of the department heads who I had this conversation, he was having or starting having some troubles with his health. He was overweight, and having some blood pressure topics already, and he was worrying about is he able to get a long desired vacation with his wife up to summer. And actually, what I have done is that I have tried to listen to what's important to them outside of work, because we're not work, we're not our job description. We're something bigger and wider. And as I have listened what's important to them outside of work, then I have tried to connect it with it, because as I said with this guy, I said that if you want to go to this vacation, if you want to feel good when you're hiking there, I think you need to lose weight. That's my honest opinion, and he totally agreed. And he's not using bicycle to come to work, but he's taking 20 or 30 minutes walk during the lunchtime. I think it's a great start to reduce the stress, and and it's difficult at the beginning, but to tie it with their personal things, what they love, I have been able to push them a bit towards the less stress or more healthier life as well.
Yeah, I think that's what the best way is find that external motivation. It's something outside of work. Because if you're saying like, oh, I can help improve you and it'll improve your productivity at work. It's like if you start doing this and it's only going to improve your productivity at work, for the majority of people are going to be like, okay, that's good, that's great, but I wanted to improve my family life. I want to improve my personal life.
Exactly.
And that's a great example of something as simple as go for even a 10-20 minute walk first, or maybe it's you park your car at the other end of the car park at
Yeah,
work rather than trying to
exactly.
park right outside the door. And something as simple as that, okay, it might be an extra 2-minute walk to the front door at work, and starting with increments over time, then you're going to get better. It doesn't have to be a 20-minute cycle first thing in the morning and you have a heart attack on your first time coming to work. It's like, no, you work up to that over time. Might take 6 months, might take a year before you get to that level. But your quality of life is going to increase leaps and bounds just by making small incremental increases over time. So definitely he's probably going to have a much better time when he goes on his family vacation, now that he's like, okay, walking for 20 or 30 minutes no longer phases me. Where it probably would have, at first, he might have been a bit out of breath. But like, next thing he was like, you know what, like, I could go for a hike. I can go for a long walk and it's not going to affect me as much as it did 6 months ago.
Yes, and the as they are mostly engineers or something similar, then as I also explained that your example, when you park your car in the nearest or in the furthest parking lot from the entrance, then if you take those 150 extra steps in one day, how many you will make in a month or in a year, and this is tens of kilometers already. So the small things will change, and the one good example is the second one is he was the other colleague. He was also a bit overweight, and he had this thing with the cakes. I don't know what, because every time when we had this birthday at the office, he was there with his own spoon and he said, I'm going to eat three cakes, three slices at least. And I actually, what we discussed is the same thing about his health, and he is having grandchilds. That, do you want to play with them? Are you able to do that, or do you want to do it in 5 or 10 years by now? And what we actually agreed with him is that I will go to the cake eating party with him, and we'll stop him after two slices of cake. And if he eats two slices of cake, he will have to eat one apple. So today, actually, he says that he's not eating all the cakes anymore because he knows that he has to eat the apple first afterwards, and he's not a very big fan of apples, so he's already making decisions whether to eat the one slice or not. So again, very small steps, very minor steps. You do not need to cut everything at once, and very minor steps, and they will add up confidence and self-belief. And once you see the results, as you said, you want more, you want the longer hiking.
Yeah, exactly. It's incremental over time. You have to, again, it's a balancing act. Is like, how much do you really want to overcome this, or and you don't make it so uncomfortable at first that you give up. You want consistent results over time. You want to, you don't. It'll be like taking the cake away from him, being like, no, no more cake for you, just apples, just apples. He's going to hate that. It'll probably drive him to the brink that he'd binge on eating cake outside of work instead.
Exactly.
And so that, like, this is completely like opposite approach. So it's like, what's the smallest, most simple thing that I can do to make a positive change every day, or any time that I feel that this thing that could affect me negatively over time, how can I change that even slightly right now, in term to make my life better every day?
Yes, and the what will help is probably the awareness or understanding that if I I eat an apple or I set boundaries, work-life boundaries, then as a senior executive, I'm an example for the others. The same is with the department heads. If you do this, you will be an example for your younger colleagues, for your other colleagues, for the entire company. And if you even take it more in a more bigger scale, then uh, you will affect the people within their homes as well. So it's not just you, because you affect your colleagues, you affect their colleagues and their families by the end of the day. So I think this is I don't know. I don't want to say that you're fixing the world, but this is a very small but important contribution what you can make just by choosing an apple instead of a cake. And it will start small, but you will affect a large number of people around you.
Yeah, exactly. It has a cascading or a ripple effect on everyone else around you. If you stop bringing 100 cakes to work everyone sees you eating 20 cakes, it's like, oh, it's like, you know what? If he's eating 20 cakes, I might as well eat 10 cakes. And it doesn't look as bad. But next thing you realize, oh, he's eating healthier. You know what? I probably need to take care of my health too. And next thing is like, okay, everyone is eating a bit healthier. Or it reflects in their family life. And next thing you see, this person is like, wow, they have so much more energy and they're so more happy in terms of the way they're working, how they treat their colleagues, how they treat their friends, how they treat their family. And it's like, you know what, maybe I should take a leaf out of his book and start living that way. Or how they influence their family or how they influence their kids. It's like if you become more present, or working out and having exercising, playing with your kids more. It's you're spending that extra time with them. It's like, oh wow, you're actually really fun when you're doing all this exercise and stuff. You know what? I might try this, and it encourages healthier habits for those around you. So I think over time, making these simple habits and implementing them into your life, yes, they do have that ripple effect, or uh, that cascading effect over time. It snowballs over time and gains momentum. How you influence people in what you do, and the more positive things you do, the more positive changes you're going to create. As you said, it will change the world on a small scale. The smallest thing you do is going to change everything around you.
Yeah, and it's actually usually people smile when they say, "Whoa, I have never thought about it like this. That my small actions will affect so many people." But yeah, you're right, right? So that's what they're thinking. And I think one of the great examples was when I went to work there, uh, the company where I was the CTO. Then I discovered that they're all wearing the office. They're all wearing shoes, and they're long days at the office. Sometimes the summer is extremely hot. The air conditioner is not working, and so on. I told that I'm not gonna wear those shoes the whole time, only in formal meetings. Otherwise, I will use some, I don't know, I will use socks, or I will use some open shoes. And at the beginning it was what is this, who is this guy? It's it's something so different. But as you described, they saw that I was feeling very good with my socks on the office. And I think it went something 8 or 9 months after the original idea. And now everyone, basically everyone, is wearing socks at the office because they say it's good and their legs are breathing. And so again, a very small thing, what actually at the beginning seemed that what is this, it's not normal to. But now it's again one thing that will make our office lives a bit easier, or a bit more comfortable. So yeah, it's the small things are all around us. And I think the even the bigger value is that if we encourage to think out of the box, that how we can make our lives better meetings shorter, less emails, more productive. I think this will encourage all the colleagues to put their ideas on the table. And I think this is where the real value comes from.
Yeah, I think another a very good example of the small changes and the ripple effect it has on people is, and as you said just before you started, that was what makes people smile. Smiling is when you smile at someone, they almost feel like compulsed to smile back. So if you start off by smiling more at work, smile at one person, make it a challenge. I'm going to smile at one new person today, and then you brighten up their day. They smile back to you. It's like, okay, he's a very happy person. He's always smiling, and every time I see him, he smiles at me. Well, he must be very friendly. And straight away, you've developed this identity as a very happy, smiley, optimistic person. And over time, people are going to be like, oh, every time I'm around this guy, he's always smiling. Raido's the smiley, happy office guy. Great. And you'll become more approachable. And all you've done is move a few facial muscles once or twice a day. Something as small as that can have a ripple effect on how everyone else in the world perceives you.
Yeah, that's a very good example, because let's say it's you're a worker, it's the Saturday evening, and you're thinking, oh, it's another Monday ahead of me. So if I know that it's going to be another long week, but I know that the boss is he's a good guy, he's smiling, and he's not grumpy all the time, and he's not yelling, then I think it's again less overall stress for the individuals, for the entire team, and this is again a very good key, or the aspect that will make the lives better, and of course hopefully prevent another burnouts at the office. Again, a very small thing, but it will make lights up the days for many people.
Yes, 100%. So, Raido, if anyone wants to get in touch with you and find out more about your executive coaching, what's the best way for them to get in touch?
I think the best way is to go to my webpage, or use LinkedIn to write me or call me, whatever it's suitable for you or them, and just give me a letter or give me a call. I will be glad to answer.
Awesome. I'll stick all that in the show notes anyway. I'll have your LinkedIn and all your links and your website. Awesome. Raido, again, it was great having you here on Give Yourself Some Leeway. And again, thank you so much for your time this evening.
Thank you.